Welcome to this week's Hymn of the Week. This week we have ELW 323, God Loved the World. Look at the bottom here. The text is translated by August Krull. And this was part of actually 1,300 different hymns. So, of course, this text was very meaningful to particularly the Lutheran Church, if you look at the hymnal history of how many hymnals this text has been part of. I'm going to read to you the title of this hymnal because I find it interesting. It's called Heiliges Lippen- und Herzensopfer einer gläubigen Seele oder vollständiges Gesangbuch. Now let me translate that for you. Holy offering of the lips and heart of a believing soul, or a complete book of songs. I find that really it's actually deeper than it is comical. I'm laughing because I also see that side of it too. But it's basically, I get the sense that with August Krull, this is me, this is my offering. And my songs are just as much my offering. Isn't that a great message? And if we think about that, when we're singing scripture, that can apply very much so. So, August Krull was a very popular translator. He actually became a pastor, I believe, in Milwaukee as well, over the time he was living. The tune by Edward Miller was actually a flautist that played for Georg Friedrich Händel, of all people. So you see the Baroque period coming into play, and he was also an Anglican organist. So what's interesting about his tune is we know that, I'm going to play it for you here. We know that tune generally with another text, but I'm going to stop that thought and go back to, this is really a new style that's arising in hymnody. If Edward Miller's date, 1731, 1807, so between there. And basically what it is we are going to put the congregational in front of being professional. The church tends to do this every now and then, and I don't mean that as a joke. I mean that as trying to keep in check that we need to remember that professionalism is not nearly as important as the congregation being participatory. So the whole concept here was come up with something that is harmonically strong. I would agree with that, wouldn't you? And then also it has to be something congregation can sing and that the organist can play, but also, and I find this interesting, that the children could also sing. So the children had to be able to sing it and also lead it. And this was supported by the bishops, the clergy, all across the church when this came from Edward Miller's book. And in fact, initially it was a psalm book. I'll look up to give you the title here. Oh, here it is. Sorry. The title of his book was Psalms of David for the Use of Parish Churches. And that's where this tune came out of. Now, let's look at the other side of this tune. We know it as When I Survey the Wondrous Cross, right? So I find it interesting that generally the Lutherans or the Lutheran hymnals have paired this with the text of God so loved the world, or God loved the world, John 3:16. How appropriate to pair that with when we generally sing, When I Survey the Wondrous Cross. So great genius there for those that are putting the hymnals together, and sometimes we don't always see that. Now, for playing this hymn, I'm not going to do too much with it, because I want to play it in the style that 1790, when that book the Psalms were released by Edward Miller. So I want to make sure that you can hear those harmonies. So the changes that I'm going to make are going to be very subtle in the registration. So here we go. Okay. Oh, and I need to mention I'll be using some arrangements from Hal Hobson.